Hello, readers and writers, and welcome to Lesson 7 of your ELA School Away from School. I am Mr. Driver, and I'll be your virtual teacher for today's daily lesson. Let's revisit our guiding questions. What journey does food take before it gets to your plate? How do we make decisions about what we eat? We'll continue to look at these questions, and we'll start to even answer them as we continue looking at the informational texts and articles that are in this week as well as the weeks to come. All right, time to get some materials for today's lesson. You're going to need a copy of the text, essay, How Corn Took Spotlight in American Diet, but Not in Europe, your copy of lesson number 7, your lesson number 7 note catcher, as well as a pencil. Go ahead and pause the video here to make sure you have everything you need for today. We have 2 learning targets for today's work. I can find the gist of a specific section from the text, and I can use a variety of strategies to determine the meaning of unknown words and phrases in text. Let's make sure we keep these learning targets in mind during all of our work today. First, you'll be rereading essay, How Corn Took Spotlight in American Diet, but Not in Europe. For today's lesson, we will focus on the second half of the reading. So with a family member, caregiver, or friend, reread the sections or subsections titled 3 Main Types of Corn and Invisible but Found Everywhere. Pause the video here while you return to the reading. Now that we've read the text together, I want you to think about a couple things. Remember, the gist is your initial thinking about what the text is mostly about. So think, what is the gist? Especially for the sections, 3 Main Types of Corn and Invisible but Found Everywhere. Also, when determining the meaning of unknown or unfamiliar words, consider the following strategies in order. Use of context, read the sentences before, during, and after to help predict its meaning. Use of word parts, prefix, affix, or suffix. And if needed, use of reference materials like a dictionary. Again, try to use the dictionary as a last resort. So the second question, are there any new or unfamiliar words in these sections? Use your strategies to help determine their meanings. And finally, view the graphic, How Kernels Develop. You'll find that in your reading. Towards the end of the article, at the very bottom of it, think about which stage the article highlights the most. So meaning, when you think about what the article is talking about, the central message of the article, what stage of how a kernel develops would you think would represent the article the most? Now it's time to have a discussion with your family member, caregiver, or a friend. Remember, the gist is what the text is mostly about. So what is the gist? What makes you say that? Another question, which words were new or unfamiliar to you? What do you think their meanings may be? And the last question, what stage in the graphic, How Kernels Develop, is highlighted in the article the most? Go ahead and pause the video here while you discuss this. Please take out your lesson 7 note catcher. Using the lesson number 7 note catcher, write the gist of the sections, 3 Main Types of Corn, and Invisible but Found Everywhere. Again, the gist is going to be a different sentence for each section, and it's really just what was that section mostly about. Put it in your own words. And for each section, think about any unfamiliar, unknown words that you may have seen and use strategies to determine their meanings. I provided you a few on the second page just to kind of think through. So if you see a word that you can look at, first think about go back to the sentence. Try to find that word in a sentence from that section. And when you find that word, you might want to circle it. After circling it, you read the sentence that it's in, the one before it, and the one that's after it. Think about if you could replace that word with any word that you may know or possibly what you think that word means. See if it makes sense. See if there's a prefix, affix, or suffix, any word parts that you can say, oh, this means that it's positive or negative. Oh, this means that it's plural, or this means it's something else. If you're able to understand a word better by looking at those parts, it may help you to substitute a word with another word to see if it makes any sense. And finally, think about like using a dictionary or pulling one up on your phone just to see what that word is. Try to push yourself not to do that right away though, because sometimes using the strategies that we talked about in order will help you to be able to read more quickly, more fluently, and be able to replace words that you may not have a strong knowledge of with words that you do. Go ahead and pause the video here while you complete this work. So it's time to wrap up today's lesson. Let's think about how you did with our learning targets. The first one, I can find the gist of a specific section from the text. and I can use a variety of strategies to determine the meaning of unknown words and phrases in text. As a closing, share your writing with someone and tell them why you chose to draw or write what you did. Also, remember to read a book today for 20 minutes. You can also read with a family member, caregiver, or a friend. For fluency practice today, please read the article from Today out loud, or have an adult read the text to you while you follow along. Then practice rereading or reading the text at least 2 times on your own. Thanks for learning with me today. Today or tomorrow in lesson 8, we will use all of our learning from this week and answer text-dependent questions for our weekly quiz. But don't worry, you don't have to study for it because all the answers will be found in the text which you're allowed to read. Have a great rest of your day.